Alright, everybody. I am sorry about the sound of the fan. I am not at home. I am actually at my parents' house. In fact, what you see behind you is a mattress, because I'm in the spare bedroom that is now office space. But anyway, at some point I lost my earbuds. They're probably somewhere in like my pants pocket or something like that. But I cannot find them, and that was how I was keeping the sound of the fan from getting in my mic last time. So I don't have that available, so now it's just picking up the sound of the fan along with my voice. I apologize for that. I don't know how many people got my post, but I did not do a live stream Sunday because my father has passed away. And I was on my way to my mother's house from California. I was visiting California when this happened, and now I'm in Washington State where my mother lives. And I'm not exactly sure when we're going home. I was thinking Friday, but it may be a little later than that. Maybe Sunday or Monday. So if anybody plans on watching my live stream for House of the Dragon, when that starts, it may be even later than I thought, because I don't know if I'm going to see it when it starts. We shall see. Anyway, for right now, I am starting this live stream of, by the way, this is Venus Brown. I'm going to be doing this live stream from Margaret Atwood's book, The Testaments. We are, I believe, on chapter 20, called Bloodlines. We're a little bit through it. We're on chapter 56, and I'm going to be reading through chapter 58. And I'll do the best I can. I mean, honestly, I don't feel like I've been doing a lot of grieving because I've been so busy trying to go through all my father's old records and files and try to figure everything out and try to see like what options are left for my mom, because there was no life insurance policy or anything like that. There's just a burial policy, and she's going to be losing the VA retirement benefits that he had, the Social Security that he had, and the VA disability that he had. And as far as I can tell, it's going to just switch to a very small single person Social Security benefit, which will be a lot lower than what she's used to. So that is going to be very, very difficult. But I think with everything that I've been doing, it's like I haven't even been able to focus on the real loss of my father, other than like every once in a while I'll go outside, or even in this room, in this office. This is where my dad would have spent a lot of his time when he was not outside. Most of the time he's outside working in the garden. But anyway, let's focus on this instead. Okay, so we're going to start on chapter 56 from part 20, called Bloodlines. Transcript of Witness Testimony, 369A, chapter 56. Jade was very untidy. She left her items in our common room, her stockings, the belt of her new supplicant's probationer uniform, sometimes even her shoes. She didn't always flush the toilet. We'd find her hair combings blowing around on the bathroom floor, her toothpaste in the sink. She took showers at unauthorized hours until firmly told not to. Several times. I know these are trivial things, but they can add up in close quarters. Yeah. Yep, I do remember some of that shit in basic training in AIT. Could get very uncomfortable. Alright, anyway, there was also the matter of the tattoo on her left arm. It said God, love, made into a cross. She claimed it was a token of her conversion to the true belief, but I doubted that, as she'd let slip on one occasion that she thought God was an imaginary friend. God is a real friend, not an imaginary one, said Becca. There was as much anger in her voice as she was capable of revealing. Sorry if I disrespected your cultural belief, Jade said, which did not improve things in the eyes of Becca. Saying God was a cultural belief was even worse than saying he was an imaginary friend. We realized that Jade thought we were stupid. Certainly, she thought we were superstitious. You should have that tattoo removed, Becca said. It's blasphemous. Yeah, maybe you're right, said Jade. I mean, yes, Aunt Immortelle. Thank you for telling me anyway. It's itchy as hell. Hell is more than itchy, said Becca. I will pray for your redemption. When Jade was upstairs in her room, we would often hear thumping noises and muffled shouts. Was it a barbarian form of prayer? I finally had to ask. I finally had to ask her what she was doing in there. Working out, she said. It's like exercising. You have to keep strong. Men are strong in body, said Becca, and in mind. Women are strong in spirit. Though moderate exercise is allowed, such as walking, if a woman is of childbearing age. Why do you think you need to be strong in body? I asked her. I was becoming more and more curious about her pagan beliefs. Pagan beliefs. Okay. In case some guy aggresses you, you need to know how to stick your thumbs in their eyes, knee them in the balls, throw heart-stopper punch. I can show you. Here's how to make a fist. Curl your fingers. Wrap your thumb across your knuckles. Keep your arms straight. Aim at the heart. She slammed her fist into the sofa. Becca was so astonished that she had to sit down. Women don't hit men, she said, or anyone except when it's required by law, such as in persecutions. Well, that's convenient, said Jade. So, you should just let them do whatever? You shouldn't entice men, said Becca. What happens if you do is partly your fault. Jade looked from one to the other of us. Victim blaming, she said. Really? Pardon, said Becca. Never mind. So you're telling me it's a lose-lose, Jade said. We're screwed whatever we do. The two of us gazed at her in silence. No answer is an answer, as Aunt Lise used to say. Okay, she said, but I'm doing my workouts anyway. 4 days after Jade's arrival, Aunt Lydia called Becca and me to her office. How is the new Pearl girl getting along? She asked. When I hesitated, she said, Speak up. She doesn't know how to behave, I said. Aunt Lydia smiled, her wrinkly old turnip smile. Remember, she is freshly come from Canada, she said, so she doesn't know any better. Foreign converts are often like that when they arrive. It is your duty for the moment to teach her safer ways. Okay, let's see if it'll... Yay! Okay. And one of the things that I do remember about reading the book when we were watching the show is that Daisy / Jade was constantly getting in trouble. I thought that she was paired with Agnes at first because she kept getting in trouble, But it appears that it was just Lydia was automatically setting her up, because I think that she said it was the second day after she got there that they paired her up. But I did feel like something must have happened in the show before we actually saw Daisy, that something must have happened that Lydia decided to pair her up, because when Agnes, and yes, spoiler, when Agnes was talking to her after they got paired up and asked if if they knew exactly what was going on, why they were paired up or whatever, I think Daisy had said something to the effect of, so that you can teach me how to behave, or something like that, or that I'm supposed to follow your lead so I can learn how to properly behave. So that's what my thought was, is that something happened. Like, Jade is not good at this stuff. She does not do well with the whole Gilead thing. She is not a zealot, and she is not a true believer. And even if you were Christian your whole life, there's a lot of things about Gilead's version of religion that does not fit with many other people's version of religion. So it can seem very extreme, very weird, very odd, and hard to get used to, because yes, there are passages in the Bible that say that you're not supposed to have tattoos. There are passages in the Bible that say a variety of things. But I take a lot of those passages as being directed at the Jewish people, the chosen people, and stuff like that. I take them as being Old Testament that isn't necessarily applicable to the New Testament, and also not necessarily applicable to Gentiles, which is what I would consider myself, a Gentile. And what we can see on both the book and the show is that Gilead seems to leave most of the Christianity part of Christianity out. The Christ part of Christianity seems to be mostly left out. And there are Christian religions that are like that. Believe it or not, there are definitely Christian religions, or at least denominations, that are like that. When they're more extreme, and they do focus much more heavily on the Old Testament, much less on the New Testament, and some of them also say the word Christ and Jesus and things like that, Yeshua and Jesus, whatever you want to call him. A lot of them leave a lot of that language out most of the time and rarely say anything. So some of that, if you've watched the TV show, not hearing those titles very often at all, might take you aback. But there are definitely certain extremist Christian religions that are somewhat like that, and focus far more heavily on Old Testament God, and far less heavily on Christ our Lord, Jesus Christ, and things like that. So just something to keep in mind. Alright, let's see, where was I? We've been trying, Aunt Lydia, said Becca. She's very stubborn, said Aunt Lydia. I am not surprised. Time will cure it. Do the best you can. You may go. We went out of the office in sideways manner we all used when leaving Aunt Lydia's office. It was impolite to turn your back on her. That's interesting. They walk sideways to avoid turning their back on her. Very strange, in my opinion. The crime files continued to appear on my desk at the Hildegard Library. I could not decide what to think. One day, I felt it would be a blessed state to be a full aunt, knowing all the aunts, carefully hoarded secrets, wielding hidden powers, doling out retributions. The next day, I would consider my soul, because I did believe I had one, and how twisted and corrupted it would become if I were to act in that way. Was my soft, muddy brain hardening? Was I becoming stony, steely, pitiless? Was I exchanging my caring and pliable woman's nature for an imperfect copy of a sharp-edged and ruthless man's nature? I didn't want that, but how to avoid it if I aspired to be an aunt? Then something happened that changed my view of my position in the universe and caused me to give thanks anew for the workings of benign providence. Although I'd been granted access to the Bible and had been shown a number of dangerous crime files, I hadn't yet been given permission to access the Bloodlines genealogical archives, which were kept in a locked room. Those who'd been in there said this room contained aisles and aisles of folders. They were arranged on the shelves according to rank: men only, economen, guardians, angels, eyes, commanders. Within those categories, the bloodlines were filed by location, then by last name. The women were inside the folders of the men. The aunts didn't have folders. Their bloodlines weren't recorded because they wouldn't be having any children. That was a secret sadness for them. I liked children. I'd always wanted children. I just hadn't want what came with them. All supplicants were given a briefing about the archives, existence, and purposes. They contained the knowledge of who the handmaids had been before they were handmaids, and who their children were. Ding, ding, ding. Start finding out that these handmaids had children and that you likely were one of the children. And then start finding out who your handmaid mother was. Fathers were not only the declared fathers, but the illegal fathers also, since there were many women, both wives and handmaids, who were desperate to have babies in any way that they could. But in all cases, the aunts recorded the bloodlines, with so many older men marrying such young girls. Gilead could not risk the dangerous and sinful father-daughter inbreeding that might result if no one was keeping track. But it was only after I'd done my Pearl Girls missionary work that I would have access to the archives. I'd longed for the moment when I'd be able to trace my own mother, not Tabitha, but the mother who'd been a handmaid, in those secret files. I'd be able to find out who she was, or had been. Was she even still alive? I knew it was a risk. I might not like what I discovered, but I needed to try anyway. I might even be able to trace my real father, though that was less likely since he had not been a commander. If I could find my mother, I would have a story instead of a zero. I would have a past, beyond my own past, though I would not necessarily have a future with this unknown mother inside it. One morning, I found a file from the archives on my desk. There was a small, handwritten note paper clipped to the front. Agnes Jemima's bloodline. I held my breath as I opened the file. Inside was the bloodlines record for Commander Kyle. Paula was in the folder, and their son, Mark. I wasn't part of that bloodline, so I wasn't listed as Mark's sister. But through Commander Kyle's line, I was able to discover the true name of poor Crystal, of Kyle, who died in childbirth, since little Mark was part of her bloodline too. I wondered whether he would ever be told about her. Not if they could help it, was my guess. It's interesting that they put Paula in that bloodline folder, even though she's not technically blood related, yet they kept Agnes out. Like, even as a stepsister, that's still a sister. And I know they're trying to trace bloodlines, but how does Paula factor into that when she is not any more blood related than Agnes is? That to me is absurd and ridiculous. But anyway. And I wonder, with these folders that are showing up, we know that this is happening for Agnes, but is it happening for any of the other Pearl girls? Like possibly Pearl girls that are working with Mayday, or that Aunt Lydia is trying to kind of impress upon them that maybe she has a little more trust in them and faith in them, and wants them to know certain things, and maybe she's like sliding in files for them to read that will go along with how she wants them to kind of be guided. That's what I'm wondering. Anyway, where did I leave off? I don't think I got that far. I already read that paragraph. I already read that. Maybe I got further than I thought. Okay. At last I found the bloodline on myself. It was not where it should have been, inside Commander Kyle's folder. In the time period relating to his first wife, Tabitha. Instead, it was at the back of the file, in a sub-file of its own. There was my mother's picture. It was a double picture. Pardon me. Like the kind we'd see on wanted posters for runaway handmaids. The full face, the profile. She had light hair, pulled back. She was young. She was staring right into my own eyes. What was she trying to tell me? She wasn't smiling. But why would she smile? Her picture must have been taken by the aunts, or else by the eyes. Yeah, I would think it would be taken by the aunts. Like, I think that's something that they're not clear with these girls on, whether they are handmaids or or commanders' children, or any other children for that matter, or even girls working at Jezebel's. I don't think they're very clear on the fact that these aunts are working on all these groups of girls. They are very, very intertwined in the lives of all these girls, and they're educating them. Like, they really don't break off until they're wives. And even when they're wives, sometimes they come in and check on them, especially if they get pregnant or something like that, or they have a handmaid come in to check and make sure that the handmaids are doing well, especially when they get pregnant. But yeah, like, there's so much going on with these aunts bringing up all these girls and trying to teach them the way Gilead wants them to play their roles. And I highly suspect that they do not let the young students know that they're also the main teachers of the handmaids, or the handmaids know that they're the main people employing basically the Jezebel girls and shit like that. And even the women in the colonies, very heavily guided by the aunts. Anyway, The name underneath had been blanked out using heavy blue ink. There was an updated notation, however. Mother of Agnes Jemima, now Aunt Victoria, escaped to Canada. Currently working for Mayday Terrorist Intelligence. 2 elimination attempts made and failed. Location currently unknown. Underneath that it said biological father, but his name, too, had been redacted. There was no picture. The notation said, currently in Canada, said to be a Mayday operative, location unknown. Did I look like my mother? I wish to think so. Did I remember her? I tried to. I knew I should be able to, but the past was too dark. See, people a lot of times comment that Agnes had forgotten her mother completely or whatever after the last time that we saw her in The Handmaid's Tale. But I think it was that she was brainwashed to be afraid of her. And she says on this that the past was too dark. This stuff is too traumatizing. They traumatized her. They brainwashed her so that she would be so afraid. That stuff is dark, it's traumatizing, and that to me is why by the point that we see her in Testaments, she doesn't remember that part of her life because it's too dark, it's too traumatizing, because Gilead fucking brainwashed her too much and traumatized her too much to remember that part of her life. That's what I believe. That's what I think. Anyway. Such a cruel thing, memory. We can't remember what it is that we've forgotten, that we have been made to forget, that we've had to forget in order to pretend to live here in any normal way. I'm sorry, I whispered. I can't bring you back. Not yet. I placed my hand on top of my mother's picture. Did it feel warm? I wanted that. I wanted to think that love and warmth were radiating out of this picture. Not a flattering picture, but that didn't matter. I wanted to think that this love was flowing into my hand. Childish make-believe, I know that, but it was comforting nonetheless. I turned the page. There was another document. My mother had had a second child. That child had been smuggled into Canada as an infant. Her name was Nicole. There was a baby picture. Baby Nicole. Baby Nicole, whom we prayed for on every solemn occasion at Ardua Hall. Baby Nicole, whose sunny, cherubic face appeared on Gilead television so often as a symbol of the unfairness being shown to Gilead on the international stage. Baby Nicole, who was practically a saint, a martyr, and was certainly an icon. That baby Nicole was my sister. Underneath the last paragraph of the text, there was a line of wavery handwriting in blue ink. Top secret. Baby Nicole is here in Gilead. It seemed impossible. I felt a rush of gratitude. I had a younger sister, but I also felt frightened. If baby Nicole was here in Gilead, why hadn't everyone been told? There would have been widespread rejoicing and a huge celebration. Why had I myself been told? I felt entangled, though the nets around me were invisible. Was my sister in danger? Who else knew she was here? And what would they do to her? By this time, I knew that the person leaving these files for me must be Aunt Lydia. But why was she doing it? It's interesting to me that she knows it's Aunt Lydia. I'm wondering exactly what gave her that viewpoint. I mean, I'm assuming that Aunt Lydia is saying and doing things directed towards her that probably would be indicating as much, but I don't know that I feel like what has been stated in the story so far gives the indication. It's probably just what she's noticing herself. She's a smart girl who seems to understand some of the stuff that she's taking in. Anyway, but why was she doing it? And how did she want me to react? My mother was alive, but she was also under sentence of death. She'd been deemed a criminal, worse, a terrorist. How much of her was in me? Was I tainted in some way? Was that the message? Gilead had tried to kill my renegade mother and had failed. Should I be glad about this or sorry? Where should my loyalties lie? Then, on impulse, I did a very dangerous thing, making sure no one was watching. I slipped the 2 pages with their glued-on pictures out of the Bloodlines file, then folded them several times and hid them in my sleeve. Somehow, I could not bear to be parted with them. It was foolish and headstrong, but it was not the only foolish and headstrong thing I have ever done. Okay, so let's go to the live scene for a minute. So, this has nothing to do with the story. One of the things that I've been having a problem with on this theme for some reason is when I try to put the, I try to put a small section of the intermission screen on my startup screen, and for some reason when I try to cut the edges of it to the side, to the area that I want, it ends up like cutting half of the intermission screen off that I wanted to show. So it is weird, and I have to like have it extended out a little further than I want it. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's see if it does it. Okay, so let's see here. So right now it is like this, but oh, no, that is not what I meant to do. Hold on, let me try to change that. Oh my goodness. Okay, I think that might be correct. Yeah, alright, so I have to press Alt. So, oh, it's not doing it now. Usually, when I get past here, it like cuts it off right here, which is weird, but it's not doing it now. I'm going to try to put it where it's supposed to be. And the last time I did a live stream, let me go back to the live scene. Last time I did a live stream, I didn't notice that it was doing that, but then when I went back to check my live stream that had already been done and recorded and published, I saw that it was like that, like the whole time, almost the whole time that it was on the startup screen. But anyway, okay, so we've got Agnes finding her file. She takes the picture, like the things that she does with her mom's picture, just, they remind me so much of what her mom does when she gets Agnes's picture. It really does. It reminds me of that. And how she says that she hopes that she would feel this warmth, or she feels like she imagines that she would feel this warmth coming from the picture, or that her mom might feel this warmth coming from her, like it should be that way. And I feel like that's the same kind of thing that June is feeling when she gets Agnes's picture and she sees it and she touches, like there's this real emotional connection, even though it's just a picture. It's not real. It's like this frozen image in time of this person. And so even though it's not really them, even though it's their reflection, it still feels like this emotional connection. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, let's get ready to go back, and we're going to start on chapter 57. All right, let's go. Okay, chapter 57, transcript of witness testimony 369b. It was a Wednesday, the woe day. After the usual putrid breakfast, I received a message to go immediately to Aunt Lydia's office. What does it mean? I asked Aunt Victoria. Nobody ever knows what Aunt Lydia might have in mind, she said. Have I done something bad? There was a big chance of bad things, that was for sure. Not necessarily, she said. You might have done something good. Aunt Lydia was waiting for me in her office. The door was ajar, and she told me to come in even before I'd knocked. Close the door behind you and sit down, she said. I sat down. She looked at me. I looked at her. It's strange, because I know she was supposed to be the powerful, mean old queen bee of Ardua Hall. But right then, I didn't find her scary. She had a big mole on her chin. I tried not to stare at it. I wondered why she hadn't had it taken off. How are you enjoying it here, Jade? She said. Are you adjusting? I should have said yes or fine or something the way I'd been trained. Instead, I blurted, not well. I mean, honestly, I think she's probably better off being honest about that because she is having such a hard time fitting in. Even though Aunt Lydia knows that she's having a hard time fitting in. But Jade doesn't necessarily know she knows that. She smiled, showing her yellowy teeth. Many have regrets at first, she said. Would you like to go back? Like how? I said. Flying monkeys? I suggest you refrain from making that kind of flippant remark in public. It could have painful repercussions for you. Do you have something to show me? I was puzzled.
Your sister is here.
Okay, tell her I'll come out when I'm done here. Okay, so my sister just arrived from South Carolina for, for my father having passed. Okay, anyway, back to where I was. And when you are grieving, I am finding that it is a little harder to think sometimes and get through things, so just bear with me. Okay, I was puzzled. Like what? I asked. No, I didn't bring... Oh, your arm, for instance, under your sleeve. Oh, I said, my arm. I rolled up the sleeve. There was God, love, not looking very pretty. She peered at it. Thank you for doing as I requested, she said. She was the one who'd requested it. Are you the source? I asked. The what? Was I in trouble? You know, the one, she cut me off. You must learn to edit your thoughts, she said. Unthink them? Now next steps. You are baby Nicole, as you must have been told in Canada. Yeah, but I'd rather not be, I said. I'm not happy about it. I'm sure that is true, she said. But many of us would rather not be who we are. We don't have unlimited choices in that department. Now, are you ready to help your friends back into Canada? What do I have to do? I asked. Come over here and place your arm on the desk, she said. This won't hurt. Like, if somebody said that to me, I'd be, like, immediately freaked out and immediately thinking this is going to hurt. She took a thin blade, and especially she takes a thin blade out. She took a thin blade and made a nick in my tattoo at the base of the O. Then, using a magnifying glass and a minute pair of tweezers, she slid something very small into my arm. She was wrong about it not hurting. See? Of course it's going to hurt. No one would think of looking inside God. Now, you're a carrier pigeon, and all we have to do is transport you. It's harder than it would have been once, but we'll manage it. People are just peeking in. It's okay. Once we're done, I'll go and say hi to everybody. Okay, where am I? It's harder than it would have been once, but we'll manage it. Oh, and don't tell anyone about this until granted permission. Loose lips sink ships. And sinking ships kill people, yes? Yes, I said. Now I had a lethal weapon in my arm. Yes, Aunt Lydia. Don't slip up on manners here, ever. You could trigger a denunciation, even for something so minor. Aunt Vidala loves her corrections, and we know, not on the TV show, but on the story, Aunt Vidala does a correction, and it's most likely going to cause permanent fucking trauma, both physically and emotionally. Okay, now, Chapter 58, Transcript of Witness Testimony 369A. 2 mornings after I'd read my Bloodlines file, I received...
When is it available for them to come to you?
Let's see. The next availability that I have in the facility for us to do that would be probably Thursday the 25th.
Is that going to work for you guys?
We'll probably be gone by then.
By Thursday?
Yeah. We'll probably be gone before the 25th. Hold on, let me see. What is today? Yeah, we'll probably be gone before
When are you
then.
guys leaving?
I was thinking either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
This Friday, Saturday,
Yeah.
or Sunday?
Yeah.
Do you have anything earlier?
Let me see. So, let's see. Yes. We are closed for Friday's holiday, and then we are not open on the weekend. And I have viewings lined up for this week already with the soil donation. So unfortunately, I don't have the availability to do it this week.
Yeah, and my oldest daughter, they're flying out like she said. Like,
Here, let me put this on
This weekend.
there.
Oh goodness, yes, I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that here.
Okay, y'all. Sorry about that. Yeah. I think with us being here for my dad's funeral and everything, we're trying to set things up, and my husband and I are not planning on being here as long as they were hoping, because, you know, he's only got so many bereavement days, and I'm trying to keep up with things, and anyway, it's just sorry about that. Now let's get back. What was I doing? Where was I? Oh, I don't know. Did I start on this page? 2 mornings after I'd read. No, I have not. Okay, so chapter 58, transcript of witness testimony 369A. 2 mornings after I'd read my Bloodlines file, I received a summons to Aunt Lydia's office. Becca had also been ordered to attend. We walked over together. We thought we were going to be asked again how Jade was getting along, whether she was happy with us, whether she was ready for her literacy test, whether she was firm in her faith. Becca said she was going to request that Jade be moved elsewhere because we'd been unable to teach her anything. She simply didn't listen, like a little toddler, like a little kid. But, I mean, you're talking about somebody who's very headstrong, who's in an extremist religious cult basically now, that she does not believe in, being expected to take on their practices, and she's not that. You know, she's not that. But Jade was already in Aunt Lydia's office when we got there, sitting on a chair. She smiled at us, an apprehensive smile. Aunt Lydia let us in, then looked up and down the corridor before closing the door. "Thank you for coming," she said to us. "You may sit down." We sat in the 2 chairs provided, one on either side of Jade. Aunt Lydia herself sat down, placing her hands on her desk to lower herself. Her hands were slightly tremulous. I found myself thinking, she's getting old. But that did not seem possible. Surely Aunt Lydia was ageless. It reminds me of some of the thoughts that we have when we're kids about our teachers. Like, I remember thinking, this is really stupid and absurd, but I remember thinking that teachers don't pee. Because I never, like, the whole time I was in grade school, not until I was in college, did I see a teacher actually take a potty break. I mean, they may have been, but I wouldn't have known that. But also, you don't, I think when you're little, you don't keep in mind that there are periods of the day where we're not around them, where we're in gym or art or PE, well, gym is PE, or in lunch, possibly. I think sometimes the teachers were, were in the cafeteria, but like, there are times that you're not around, but I think maybe because also when you're little, you seem to pee more. So it seemed like the teachers were never peeing. So that was the absurd idea that I had when I was a kid about the teachers. Anyway, and then, oh gosh, the stupid thing that parents would say about having eyes in the back of their head. I don't remember ever believing that, but I knew that there were some people that thought it was true. Anyway, let's see, where was I? I have some information to share with you that will materially affect the future of Gilead, Aunt Lydia said. You yourselves will have a crucial part to play. Are you brave enough? Do you stand ready? Yes, Aunt Lydia, I said, and Becca repeated the same words. The younger supplicants were always being told they had a crucial part to play, and that bravery was required of them. Usually it meant giving up something, like time or food. Good. I will be brief. First, I must inform you, Aunt Immortelle, of something that the other two already know. Baby Nicole is here in Gilead. Dun 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 dun. Ooh, you know what? I'm not on the read section. There, okay. Back to the read section. I was confused. Why would the girl Jade have been told such an important piece of news? Why indeed? Why would she be told? She could have no idea of what an impact the appearance of such an iconic figure would have among us. Really? Oh, praise be, Aunt Lydia, said Becca. That is such wonderful news. Here in Gilead? But why have we not all been told? It's like a miracle. Control yourself, please, Aunt Immortelle. I must now add that baby Nicole is the half-sister of Aunt Victoria. No shit, Jade exclaimed. I don't believe this. Jade, I did not hear that, said Aunt Lydia. Self-reverence, self-knowledge, self-control. Sorry, Jade mumbled. Agnes, I mean Aunt Victoria, Becca said. You have a sister. That is so joyful. And it's baby Nicole. You're so lucky. Baby Nicole is so adorable. Oh, wait until she finds out. There was the standard picture of baby Nicole on Aunt Lydia's wall. She was indeed adorable. But then all babies are adorable. May I hug you? Becca said to me. She was fighting hard to be positive. It must have been sad for her that I had a known relative, but she did not have any. Even her pretend father had just been shamefully executed. Calm, please, said Aunt Lydia. Time has passed since baby Nicole was a baby. She is now grown up. Of course, Aunt Lydia, said Becca. She sat down. I had to check the microphone because I didn't remember if I had unmuted it when I was on my Be Right Back thing. Okay. Of course, Aunt Lydia, said Becca. She sat down, folded her hands in her laps. But if she is here in Gilead, Aunt Lydia, I said, where is she exactly? Jade laughed. It was more like a bark. She is at Ardua Hall, said Aunt Lydia, smiling. It was like a guessing game. She was enjoying herself. We must have looked mystified. We knew everyone at Ardua Hall. So where was baby Nicole? She's in this room, Aunt Lydia announced. She waved a hand. Jade, here is baby Nicole. It can't be, I said. Jade was baby Nicole, therefore Jade was my sister? Becca sat with her mouth open, staring at Jade. No, she whispered. Her face was woeful. Sorry about not being adorable, Jade said. I tried, but I'm terrible at it. I believe she meant it as a joke to lighten the atmosphere. I'm not so sure she did mean it as a joke. I mean, maybe sort of, but I think a serious joke, sort of. Anyway. Oh, I didn't mean, I said. It's just, you don't look like baby Nicole. No, she does not, said Aunt Lydia. But she does look like you. It was true, up to a point. The eyes, yes, but not the nose. I glanced down at Jade's hands, folded for once in her lap. I wanted to ask her to stretch out her fingers so I could compare them to mine, but I felt that might be offensive. I didn't wish her to think I was demanding too much evidence of her genuineness, or else rejecting her. I'm very happy to have a sister, I said to her politely. now that I was overcoming the shock. This awkward girl shared a mother with me. I'd have to try my best. You're both so lucky, said Becca. Her voice was wistful. And you're like my sister, I told her. So Jade is like your sister too. I didn't want Becca to feel left out. May I hug you? Becca said to Jade. Or, as I suppose I should now call her in this account, Nicole. Yeah, I guess, said Nicole. She then received a little hug from Becca. I followed suit. Thanks, she said. Thank you, Aunts Immortelle and Victoria, said Aunt Lydia. You are demonstrating an admirable spirit of acceptance and inclusion. Now I must trouble you for your full attention. We turned our faces towards her. Nicole will not be with us for long, said Aunt Lydia. She will be leaving Ardua Hall shortly and traveling back to Canada. She will be taking an important message with her, and I want you both to help her. I was astonished. Why was Aunt Lydia letting her go back? No convert ever went back. It was treason. And if that person was baby Nicole, it was treason 10 times over. But, Aunt Lydia, I said, that is against the law, and also God's will is proclaimed by the commanders. Indeed, Aunt Victoria. But, as you and Aunt Immortelle have now read a good many of the secret files I have been placing in your way, are you not aware of the deplorable degree of corruption that currently exists in Gilead? Yes, Aunt Lydia, but surely I had not been certain that Becca, too, had been treated to the crime files. Both of us had obeyed the top secret classification, but more importantly, each of us had wished to spare the other. The aims of Gilead at the outset were pure and noble. We all agree, she said. But they have been subverted and sullied by the selfish and power-mad, as so often happens in the course of history. You must wish to see that set right. Yes, said Becca, nodding. We do wish it. Remember, too, your vows. You pledged yourself to help women and girls. I trust you meant that. Yes, Aunt Lydia, I said, we did. This will be helping them. Now, I don't want to force you to do anything against your will, but I must state the position clearly. Now that I have told you the secret, the baby Nicole is here, and that we will soon be acting as a courier for me, and that she will be soon be acting as a courier for me. Every minute that passes in which you do not divulge this secret to the eyes will count as treachery. But even if you do divulge it, you may still be severely punished, perhaps even terminated for having held back, even for an instant. Needless to say, I myself will be executed, and Nicole will soon be no better than a caged parrot if she won't comply. They'll kill her, one way or another. They won't hesitate. You've read the crime files. You can't do that to them, Nicole said. That's not fair. It's emotional blackmail. I appreciate your views, Nicole, said Aunt Lydia, but your juvenile notions of fairness do not apply here. Keep your sentiments to yourself, and if you wish to see Canada again, it would be wise to consider that a command. She turned to the two of us. You are, of course, free to make your own decisions. I will leave the room. Nicole, come with me. We wish to give your sister and her friend a little privacy in which to consider the possibilities. We will return in 5 minutes. At that time, I shall simply require a yes or a no from you. Other details regarding the mission will be supplied in good time. Come, Nicole." She took Nicole by the arm and steered her out of the room. Becca's eyes were wide and frightened, as mine must have been. "We have to do it," Becca said. "We can't let them die. Nicole is your sister, and Aunt Lydia—" "Do what?" I said. "We don't know what she's asking for." "She asked for obedience and loyalty," said Becca. "Remember how she rescued us? Both of us. We have to say yes." After leaving Aunt Lydia's office, Becca went to the library for her day shift, and Nicole and I walked back to our apartment together. "Now that we're sisters," I said, "you can call me Agnes when we're alone." "Okay, I'll try," Nicole said. We went into the main room. "I have something I want to share with you," I said. "Just a minute." I went upstairs. I'd been keeping the 2 pages from the Bloodlines file under my mattress, folded up small. When I returned, I unfolded them carefully and flattened them out. Once I'd laid them out on the table, Nicole, like me, couldn't resist placing her hand on the picture of our mother. "This is amazing," she said. She took her hand off, studied the picture again. "Do you think she looks like me?" "I was wondering the same thing," I said. "Can you remember her at all?" "I must have been too young." "I don't know," I said. "Sometimes I think I can. I do seem to remember something. Was there a different house? Did I travel somewhere? But maybe it's just wishful thinking." "What about our fathers?" she said. "And why did they blank out the names?" "Maybe they were trying to protect us in some way," I said. "Thanks for showing me," said Nicole. "But I don't think you should keep these around. What if you get caught with them?" "I know. I tried to put the pages back, but the file wasn't there anymore. In the end, we decided to tear the pages up into small pieces and flush them down the toilet. Aunt Lydia had told us we should strengthen our minds for the mission ahead of us. Meanwhile, we should continue on with life as usual and not do anything to call attention to Nicole or arouse suspicion. That was difficult, as we were anxious. I, for one, lived with a sense of dread. If Nicole were to be discovered, would Becca and I be accused? Becca and I were due to leave on our Pearl Girls mission very soon. Would we even go, or did Aunt Lydia have some other destination in mind? We could only wait and see. Becca had studied the Pearl Girls' Standard Guide of Canada with the currency, the customs, and the methods of purchasing, including credit cards. She was much better prepared than I was. When the Thanksgiving ceremony was less than a week away, Aunt Lydia called us to her office again. "This is what you must do," she said. "I have arranged a room for Nicole at one of our country retreat houses. The papers are in order, but it is you, Aunt Immortelle, who will be going in Nicole's stead. She herself will take your place and will travel as a Pearl Girl to Canada." "Then I won't be going?" said Becca, dismayed. "You will go later," said Aunt Lydia. I suspected it was a lie, even then. It was. Spoiler, if you haven't read it, it was definitely a lie. Yeah, there are some not great things to come for Becca, if you haven't read the book. But, alright, so let's go to the live scene. Okay. I'm not going to take a lot longer because I do have my family out there waiting for me. As I said, if you weren't here earlier, my father has passed away, and I am actually here at my mother's house. We're working on trying to go through all the files, on getting everybody contacted that is supposed to be contacted, waiting on death certificates, on all kinds of stuff, and trying to do everything we need to get ready. My dad's not being buried or cremated like usual. He is being composted. They call it something else too, but composting is one of the things they call it. And we're trying to find out if there's a way that we're going to be able to see him before my husband and I leave. And we don't know if that's going to happen, because right now they don't have spots available before then. My husband's trying to convince me to stay here another week, and we'll see. I don't know. Like, if I do that, it's going to be hard for me to keep up with things. But we'll see. Anyway, here, let me go to the ending screen so I can show you my upcoming schedule, which I am trying to stick to. We have Testament Live reads on Sunday and Tuesday. I did not read last Sunday because I was on my way here. Tokyo Ghoul reactions on Fridays. And that's another thing, is I might not be able to get this coming Friday, I would be able to get Tokyo Ghoul's reaction out. But the next one, I might not be able to if I'm not able to go home, because I don't have the edited reactions and everything. So, but hopefully, we'll see. So that might end up coming out late. House of the Dragon teaser, I am going to do the second one on Wednesday, or I think it's called the final teaser. I will be putting that out on Wednesday. Yeah, trying to keep up. We'll see. It depends on how long it is before I leave here, whether I am able to do House of the Dragon Season 1. I'm going to be doing live streams, discussions and breakdowns of the episode. So, if you want to see that, that's great. If you don't, that's okay too. That's all I got for you, though. I'll see you when I see you. Bye.